Hello students. In this video I'm going to go over the week 3 project. So what I have up on the screen is the description of that assignment, and then I also have the PDF lecture that's available. So you can follow these instructions and complete the assignment. It tells you two different ways to get the mean and standard deviation, and I'm going to show you an alternative way to do this. Not necessarily an alternative to calculating the mean and standard deviation, but a different way to calculate z-scores. And for some reason, students are still having problems with the data analysis tool pack. And for this assignment, you won't actually need that. So whatever version of Excel you have, what I'm going to show you should work for that. Now, if you didn't conduct the descriptive statistics in week 2, you would need to do that for something like the week 3 midweek assignment. But for this one, the mean and standard deviation have already been calculated for you. So for the week 3 project, you're going to pull up the file you downloaded in week 1 and go to the week 3 project data. And as I was mentioning, you already have the mean and the standard deviation. That was already calculated for you. So all you need to do is calculate the z-scores. Now, going back to the assignment, there are different parts to this, so you want to pay attention and not miss a part. So for item 1, it says to use the appropriate descriptive statistics from the week 2 project or run new descriptive statistics. So obviously you don't need to do that because the mean and standard deviation are provided for you. So you won't need to worry about doing that. And then part 2, this actually doesn't have anything to do with the Excel file. So you're to assume that the sample statistics you completed are exactly equivalent to the corresponding population parameters, and then you use this formula to identify the following. So keep in mind that you're going to do these calculations, and they're separate than the calculations you're going to do in the Excel file here. Now, you may have noticed in the announcement I attached a worksheet that you can use. So I tried to break that assignment down and make it easier to understand, because for some reason it seems like the first item students don't understand, or they skip the second. So the item numbered 1 that I was just talking, or sorry, the item number 2, what you're going to do is just to do this calculation. And you can either do that in Excel, or you could just pull out the calculator on your phone, whatever is easiest for you. So if you want to do that using Excel, you don't need to have the add-in. Just find any blank cell and type this. So you're going to type this formula and hit enter. And that will give you the score at the upper 5%. Because remember, the z-score that cuts off the upper 5% is 1.645. So that was part of the week 3 midweek assignment, where you use those cutoff z-scores. So that's why you're using that. And so again, this is just plugging in the numbers to the formula that was, or sorry, it's right here. And I just used the mean and standard deviation and plugged all those numbers in. So if you just want to pull out your calculator instead of using Excel, x equals, obviously you don't put that into your calculator, but it's 1.645 times 3.32, and whatever that equals, and then you're going to add 7.53. And that's a score that will correspond to a very high score or a moderately high score in the upper 5%. So for the lower 5%, you can either type this into Excel, or you can just use the calculator on your phone to do it. So it's the same thing. The only difference is this time we have a negative 1.645. So you're going to take, if you have your calculator, negative 1.645 times 3.23, and then whatever that equals, you're going to add 7.53. So that's what you need to do for that. And you can just you could just answer the question. For the lower 5%, I calculated the following and obtained this. So that's all you need to do for that. And then for part 3, so what I'm calling part 3, it actually corresponds to item 3. You will have to calculate those z-scores. So you don't need the mean and the standard deviation. We already have that. And this PDF shows you 2 different ways to calculate the z-scores. So I'm going to show you another one. And to me, I think this is easy. So for the one I'm going to show you, you need the formula for the z-score. So the z-score is, so x is the mean. Sorry. X is the raw score, so this is down here. Sorry about that. So X is the raw score. By raw score, that means the individual person's score. So the individual's person's score, their raw score, minus the mean. And then whatever that equals divided by the standard deviation. So we're going to go back to the Excel file. And to me, this is the easiest way to do it. So you're going to type equals. And again, this is something you can do no matter what version of Excel you have and whether or not you have the data analysis tool pack. So this has nothing to do with the data analysis tool pack. So type equal, and then remember we want the person's raw score. So in cell C2, this would be the z-score for person P1. So their raw score would be in B2. So you don't want to type 12 in here because you don't want to type this for every single one. So you want to type equal, and that should be within parentheses. B2, and then going back to your formula. So B2 is the raw score, and you want this minus the mean. So minus 7.53, because 7.53 is the mean. And then you want to close up that parentheses, and then you want divided by the standard deviation. So divided by 3.23. Okay, so that's what we want. B2 represents person P1's raw score, which is 12. So then you're going to hit enter. And so the z-score for person P1, their raw score is 12, and their z-score is 1.38. Okay, and by doing this, you don't need to type the dollar signs or anything like that. To me, this is a simpler way to do this. And then what you do to get everyone else's z-score is you just select that cell, so cell C2, and then you want to grab it in the corner. You know you're at the right place when you see this little black cross. And then you click it and you hold and you drag it to the very last one, and then let it go. And those are everyone's z-scores. Okay? And if you're working with this worksheet that I made for you, you could then go down to this table. So you want the z-score for person P5 and their raw score is 8. So you don't really need to do anything with that. I guess it would just help if you didn't number your participants this way. So P5, go back to your Excel file. So P5, their raw score is 8, and their z-score is 0.15. And I have it set to round to 2 decimal places, and I suggest that you do the same. It may already be set up in your file to do that, but if you get a long string of numbers, just round it to 2 decimal places. So that's 0.15. So you just type that there, and if you notice, P20's score is also 8, so you don't really need to look that up. You could just type 0.15 there, and then you do the same thing for each of the numbers. So that's really all there is to that assignment. And just make sure you don't skip item 2, which is calculating the lower and upper 5% for that. So you can just put that on a, when you're typing your assignment, just, show the work that you did and the answer. Okay, so I think that's all for that. If you have any questions about it, just send me a message or an email.